Roanoke is just a community, just a few miles up north. It's a place that is really, really known for its wonderful restaurants. So yeah, it's just up the street, one of the suburbs, I guess, of Fort Worth.
We got out of the car and I looked over and there were people dressed in full black with guns slung around their back. And I looked closer and I noticed that they had like rainbow patches, and I saw a trans patch. And I thought, I think they're friendlies.
In Roanoke, there was a drag brunch held at a restaurant owned by a family. What it culminated in was a number of photos, videos that were quite striking.
I'm here to support people that don't indoctrinate and groom little 8-year-old kids. Hey, Blue! Hey, Blue! She just spit on me!
There were minor scuffles between the protesters and the anti-fascists that were there to sort of effectively act as a buffer between the attendees and the protesters.
Like, that was the first time I was like, oh wow, we're at this point. Like, we're at a point where we have to be defending ourselves with weapons because people are threatening us on a daily basis.
Well, Roanoke's a small town. There's all kinds of people living here, but that kind of happens in Dallas, you know what I'm saying? And I think the morning of the event, we got a picture with like a bunch of armed, masked people standing in front of the building. And I mean, my blood ran cold. Like, I don't care if you run around masked with guns, I don't care. But when there are children in the vicinity, that is very irresponsible. And I feel the same about anybody that brings violence to any society. I don't care who it is.
You know, I was thankful that they were there to make sure, because basically they were there protecting the drag queens. We actually spoke to one of them inside, and I asked, who are y'all? I didn't even know. I basically said, I didn't know that liberals carried guns like that. I just didn't know.
I said, how are we doing out here?
The Roanoke event was one of a series of events. At those other events, there had been members of the Proud Boys. There had been members of the Proud Boys with bear mace, wearing, gloves that are designed for fighting, that have reinforced knuckles, other things like that.
To think that there are people out there that are saying that, like, kids being exposed to this is dangerous to them, it kind of blows my mind, because I'm like, I literally know kids that have tried to take their own lives, because of the type of oppression and bullying that they got. And then drag was able to pull them out of that dark place. We want people to come to our shows that are appropriate age for the certain shows that they are. So if it's at a bar and it's 21 and up, of course we're not asking kids to come out to that. If it's Pride and it's a public event where everyone can celebrate their identity and who they are, and kids are there, please, we want you to come out. Like, if I am told, hey, there are children in the audience, or hey, this is a more conservative type show, I'm gonna change what I do, and I'm gonna make sure my entertainers do the same thing. What we want is, we wanna show that this community is welcoming, and that if at any time you don't feel like you can be yourself, the drag community, LGBTQ community can be that welcoming family for you.
This magical turnout you'll have here proves that love beats hate.
You know, everybody knew what was going on outside, but inside, everybody was laughing and having a good time. And I would say there were old people, there were young people, there were straight, there were gay. I mean, it really was everybody. And when we got in the car, my kid said it was one of the best things he'd ever done.
When the men dress up like women, it's the highest heels, the most makeup, the longest eyelashes, the tightest clothing. So it is the sexualization of a female. And that's what's presented, no matter how tame it is, to the children. And that's my problem. So I don't understand why can't we just keep kids away from all of this? I have no wish whatsoever to take my children to anything like that. Even if I don't care how they pan out. And I mean, I will love them no matter how they turn out, but I'm not taking them to things to reaffirm what they believe. My point is, the event should not have happened, because that would have then nothing would have happened. If it was a Friday night for a bunch of adults, there would have been a few people complaining, but for the most part, nobody would have batted an eye.
I don't think that allowing children to transition and celebrating that is the right thing to be doing. I think that taking them to some therapy and sitting them down and getting to the bottom of the issue, you know, why are you feeling this way? I think that's the appropriate response.
I'm so terrified for the kids who don't have a family like ours, but who have children like mine. And I saw in my kid, he felt love and acceptance. The idea that there's a kid who can go to a family drag brunch and see love and acceptance, I don't see how it's bad. I just don't.
They might feel like that sort of event is where they belong, I guess. I still feel like it's not. You know, I might gain some insight from talking to a drag queen as to what their motives are, but at the same time, given that my issue is when children are going to the shows, I don't see it being too beneficial to sit down and talk to one.
I think there is a deeper motivation here in terms of affecting policy at school board and state level when it comes to education. You know, sort of the broader push around affecting school board policies and elections, the framing of children, the books that they're exposed to, the education that they're exposed to. The tie-in here with the drag brunches is that, you know, oh, it's another form of corrupting our youth, and we've got to fight back and stand against it. And so I think these battles in the school boards and, you know, sort of tangentially around them are causing division in communities that previously may have been known for being sleepy.
So this drag brunch came to my attention when this group of parents in the community who goes out and ultimately hunts down teachers that they don't agree with somehow found the invitation to the drag brunch on Facebook.
Teachers, any teachers in the audience?
Within a few hours, once it was over, it was a full-on witch hunt where they were naming teachers. They were saying, look at this picture. Everyone look at these pictures. Are there any teachers in these pictures? Have we informed the school board members? And people are like, yes, the school board knows. We're calling the principals. We're going to get these people fired. This is child abuse. I mean, some of the comments were abhorrent. So the teachers did not get fired. The teachers' jobs were safe because they didn't do anything wrong, right? Like, teachers can go to a drag brunch on a Sunday morning if they want.
So this is my vanity. It's never really an issue about the kids. It's not. It's about queer culture and queer people being present in the mainstream. And that's the question I hope people ask is like, are we protesting kids being at drag brunches or are we protesting LGBT people? That whole moment, that day, to me, tells us what's wrong right now in this whole as a country, is we are not focusing on the right things.